Hello, my name is John, and today we'll be working on my 1997 Ford Mustang Cobra. I'm going to be doing spark plugs in it and also be showing you how to do it as well, and kind of go through what I'm using and how to do it. So let's get into it. Let me show you what I'll be using today. I'm going to be using Ford Motorcraft spark plugs because it is a Ford. I like to use Ford parts. Socket wise, I'll be using a 5/8 deep socket. I'll also be using a 11 millimeter just so I can get the dust covers off to where I can get the spark plugs and everything. When you get spark plugs, make sure you're always going to gap them. Sometimes they come pre-gapped, but you got to make sure that they're the correct measurement. And what I was looking at online, we're going to be doing it to 0.054 inches. What I'll be soaking them in today, because I don't know if these have ever been done, or if they have, I want to make sure that everything's going to come off pretty easily, is I'll be using some PB Blaster. Soak them for about an hour to 2 hours, depending. I'm going to be doing it for 2 hours, just because, like I said, I don't know if they've been done before. And always make sure you use protection. Not that kind of protection. Get your minds out of the gutter. We'll be doing the driver's side first, just because it's easier to get to. When we do the passenger side, I'll show you what to do, but you're gonna have to take the air filter off and a couple other things, and I'll also be showing how to do that. So let's get this off so I can show you what it looks like. Kind of show you exactly what there is there. There's 4 bolts you gotta take off, and they're just little round nuts that come off of it. Mine came off pretty easily, thankfully. Nothing's ever that easy. But to kind of show you exactly what it looks like, it's just like that. Let's pull one of these plugs off. Holy crap. Oh, be careful. And if you can see it in there, it's a far ways down. So all we do right now is soak them for 2 hours, and let's get all the other ones off. So on the passenger side, all we're taking off is this air filter. Unplugging this, also unplug your MAF sensor, and then also this sensor as well. And mine has a little bracket right here. This is an aftermarket filter for whoever I bought it from. Put this on. And mine is a 3/8 to take this portion off. And then those little clamps, I believe, are a 8 millimeter. So let's pull this off and get to work again. I like to make sure I'm leaving everything together, only because it's just so much easier that way, and it's a pain in the butt to get it all back together. So we just wiggle this portion off of it, off of your car itself. Forgot the name of the part, but that's okay. And then this whole thing should just kind of pull out. One thing also is disconnect your battery. I should have said that to begin with. I'm not doing that, but for dealing with other things, be careful. So that's one thing as well. And then also on this, make sure you get this portion off as well. I did not see it, but it is going straight into the head itself, so just make sure you take that portion off, and I'll show you exactly where that is as well. Then just like the other side, taking off this cover right here. 4 bolts again, which is super easy, and I like easy. Doesn't take out your whole day. Gotta get longer. This was actually kind of a bear to get to, so just be really careful. Make sure you don't drop anything. See if you can't get your little fingers in there to do it. I've got bigger hands, so just be careful where you're not dropping much. But this is pretty straightforward, so that makes it easy, like I said. Okay, let's take off this cover. You gotta kind of lift off that back because it does have somewhat of a lip on there. So that kind of makes it easier if you kind of pry from the back side. Same thing here that we did on the other side, just kind of wiggle, kind of break that seal on them and then pull them out. Don't put them back on when you blast them with some oil if they have been in there for a long time. Just because you don't want to get that stuff or get these all nastied in a way. So kind of just put them off to the side, sorta, just so you know where they're going. Don't want to get them mixed up. And if you're also doing plugs, that's not a bad idea. I'm not, just because this car has low miles and I don't really want to deal with that. But someday I will have to. And I'll do a video on that as well when I do that in the future. Kind of break that seal like I was telling you to get them out. And I will blast these. You want to do somewhat of a healthy dose of oil if they have been in there for a long time. I am, because it looks like they've never been replaced. So just be kind of wary of that. Do like a, I don't know, maybe like a 5-second spray, maybe 3 to 5, just to make sure that you've got them all and they're gonna sit. But now we're gonna let them sit and we'll pull one out and I'll show you the difference between a used and a new spark plug. Stay tuned. All right, so we've been letting them soak for a little bit. We're gonna try to get these plugs out without breaking them in the engine. That would be bad. So let's see if we can get it. Okay, so we got one of them out. It was kind of sketchy because they'd just never been out of the car. So be really careful when you're doing it. Make sure you soak them. And then also when you're pulling them out like we are, we're going back and forth with it just to make sure all the oil's going down into the, the threads. So let me kind of show you what a worn one looks like, and I can also show you what an old one looks like compared to a new one. So on the left side, if you can see that, let me kind of show you, is the old style of plug that Ford had put in these from factory. They're kind of cool in a way, but also not, because these ones are also what used to blow out of the heads, apparently, when Ford put them in. So it's kind of a good idea to change these out once in a while. So compared them both side by side, if I can get it to show you. Old ones don't have as much threading as a new one. Like the new one, I've got so much more threads than the other. And also you can tell which one how worn they are as well. So this is why we're doing it, and it's a very good idea to do this. But make sure when you're taking them out to go back and forth and be super careful. But we'll keep going. So we're gonna put one in. We're going to use a piece of hose to put it in. You can use the extension if you want from what you used it to take it out, but we kind of like using a hose just because why not? And then when you're gapping spark plugs, use a gapper like I was showing you to begin with. We like to have a little bit of drag when we do it, and that's kind of like a feel portion of it. You want it to give a little bit of resistance when you're kind of going at it, in and out and in and out. So do it that what you will. You guys probably already know how to gap things or gap your spark plugs, but it's a pretty simple process. But we're gonna put one in and we're gonna keep going with gapping. While I put the passenger side back together, he's going to do the driver's side, taking out plugs and all that. This is also a great time to check your valve covers for leaks. You check your gaskets while you're down there. Just grab a flashlight and check them out. I just realized that I have both sides I need to replace valve cover gaskets, so that'll be another video of me doing that. But for now, we're going to put it back together and see if it runs a little better, get better gas mileage, all that cool stuff. And when you're putting the covers back on for your wires, make sure everything's going to be able to get tucked back in. Should work out. So when we're taking out plugs and stuff like that, when SVT started to put these motors together, you'll notice that one side, the electrode, is flat, and on the other side, the electrode is pointy. So, and these are factory plugs, like they weren't replaced, they still have paint markings on them. Like that one's got a little bit of white on it, and that one has the yellow. But, I mean, they are Ford factory plugs. From part numbers, you can see that the flat one is a 32, God, if you can see that, 32 EG, and the pointy one, wherever that's at, is a 32E. Kind of interesting and kind of weird that they decided to do that, but kind of cool too. But we're gonna keep rolling. All right, now that the driver's side's done, I'm gonna put this back together as well, just like the other side. Same thing, how you took it off, goes back on the same way. Making it super easy, you know. Don't go crazy on these, on the plug covers. They're not super tight to begin with, so I just was kind of fixing them in with an extension in the socket. Remember, it's an 11 millimeter socket to put these little bolts back on. And make sure that you cover the stuff back up. The wires, make sure they go in the little hole or canal that they go in. But that's one thing that I was kind of thinking about to say. And then we did put some oil into the cylinders just to get those old plugs out. So when you don't turn it over yet. I would actually disconnect the pump relay before you do that. I gotta figure out where that's at, and then I will let you guys know. But disconnect the pump relay and then turn it over, because you don't want the engine to hydro lock. That would not be great, personally. So make sure you guys are being careful with all that, making sure that things aren't going to go bad on you. But I also had that head gasket, or not head gasket, sorry, valve cover gasket leak. So I'm also going to make sure that I kind of siphon it out with the motor itself. So like I said, disconnect the pump relay and then turn it over, make sure everything's gonna be all right. And I'll also film that. So 1 second. All right, I'm sitting in the cockpit. Gonna turn it over now, see if everything works. So let's give it a shot. Add a juice. Take two. Good? Okay?
Mm-hmm. Just burning all the oil out of it.
God. Well, that was scary.
Because we had all that oil in there.
She's alive! Sounds better. Well, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Check out some other videos on this. We did the top on it, so if you need to know how to do that, check it out. Thanks.